Here are your hosts, Tyree Smith, Danny Marang, and Joe Simons.
Live from the Metropolitan Tavern after the Portland Trail Blazers game. Welcome into the Rip City Wrap-Up, episode 56. Tyree Smith, Danny Marang, Joe Simons alongside with you after the Rip City Remix beat the South Bay Lakers tonight.
Hey!
123 to 112.
That's the lead-in, baby.
That's a winner.
That's how we talk about it. Listen,
Portland
man,
beat the Lakers.
we talk positive. And we are going to talk about this game, too. Portland Trail Blazers' first game back from the All-Star break. They fall to the Los Angeles Lakers at home, 110 to 102. First of all, folks, it's nice to see you guys again. How was the break?
It's been so long since we've done one of these.
Right?
My God. It feels like it's been a month since we've done this.
No, seriously. It does feel long.
It wasn't long enough.
And it looked like it had been a month or two or six with the way the Blazers started that game tonight. That was crazy. Like, okay.
Crazy's being nice.
You figure that there's going to be a little bit of rust coming off the All-Star break. Like, okay, the Lakers played last night. Portland didn't. Maybe things will stabilize a little bit. But it really took an entire quarter and a half for Portland to even get into this basketball game. 15 points. But to their credit, a few guys, Denny, DC, too, were involved in the game. And as a result, they were able to actually have a real chance down the stretch. LeBron and Austin Reeves is a grifter, and
that first quarter,
here we are.
Tremendous stuff. I mean, you said it was a little bit of rust. It was more like unearthing an Egyptian. You had to open the tomb with a crowbar.
Popped open,
let the stink come out from 3,000 years.
There comes Danny.
And then you go into the vault and just kind of go figure it out. I mean, it wouldn't be a night without.
Was that Austin Reeves? Who was
that?
No,
just dumb Laker fans. That's like everybody else in Lakerland. This is I don't even know 100th, 200th Laker fan. Or Laker game that I've either covered or been to as a fan as a kid, and without fail, Lakers fans got thrown out by security in droves for acting complete fools.
Well done.
So congratulations to Laker fans for just holding the record for stupidity for an unknown amount of years at this point in time.
There's a lot of purple and gold.
Oh my God! Just being escorted out in mass by security. It was a busy night.
It was a busy night on the court, too, right?
Well, it wasn't getting too busy. 28-15 first quarter. I was joking with other media members, just get to 29 points. Don't have that ineptitude that the Detroit Pistons got held to just before the break. Was it? I'm sorry, not the Pistons, the Bulls. The Pistons
71-29 at break.
Yeah, it was. That game was kind of like, oh God, and
no good.
I looked up and I think they had 18 with like 8:15 to go in the second quarter, and I went, ooh, this might be dicey. But they really turned it on in the second half of the second quarter. They found somewhat of their bearing. Like you said, the big part of that obviously is Denny and two.
And thank God with Denny on the offense, man, because there was a stretch right before the break where it's like, does Denny have like a nagging thing that we're not aware of?
Yes,
like,
he does.
What's going on here? And
you can see it.
He got that week off.
It's his wrist.
And it looks completely different, though, Dan.
Flexing it pretty much every game since he injured it. He sat out the one game with it.
He did?
Remember. I think it's one of those things. I don't think it's a severe injury, but you can see him throughout every game.
Rest.
Well, I mean, just I think it's one of those things where I don't think it's going to go away probably until the end of the season. It's just
Sure.
I mean, he's a basketball player. You use your hands to play. Like if he was a soccer player, maybe you could get by. But this is not only that; he's an incredibly physical basketball player who wants to initiate contact.
Well, he got to the line 10 times today.
Yeah, and I mean,
let him some points.
You would think Shaedon Sharpe was the one playing with a wrist injury with how careless he was with the ball.
It was wild in the first half, especially.
He was on another planet. It was maybe his most Space Cadet-y performance I've ever seen from him, and it was just egregious level turnovers. He had 4 turnovers in his first 7 minutes of action, and I think that was again, to kind of go with the archaeology metaphor here, the hole that he dug himself required an archaeological search to go pull him out of it. It was, I mean, it wasn't just the turnovers. It was the defense. I mean, he was on another dimension for the first probably 12, 14 minutes. He hit a shot, but there were so many times when he passed up opportunities. There was one time he drove the ball early in the second quarter, and it's Austin Reeves as the low man rotating over, and he just retreats. And I'm like, brother, it's Austin Reeves. It's not Anthony Davis. And it was just those kind of things popped up and popped up and popped up. And I'm not just trying to throw Shaedon under the bus here. Jeremy Grant couldn't throw a rock in
disaster.
The ocean.
Jeremy was 1 of 12 tonight. He had 3 points.
And it took the last one to get it. I mean,
and it looked like it felt like 1 out of 12.
Yeah,
like,
no, you felt
like
every last one of them. I mean,
with Jeremy.
What did they end up shooting tonight? I mean, they were covered to shoot 44% from the field. There was a long stretch of the game where they were sub 30, and it was like, oh, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, but what kills me, if you look at those stats, the Lakers shot 28% from three. Like, this game was there for the taking.
But they were 92% from free throws.
That is a big element, and a lot of those were your boy Austin Reeves.
No.
Danny, I'm so glad I saw you tweeting about this like crazy, because it was the first thing I noticed, too. He was hunting Toumani Camara to get him in foul trouble.
Oh, yeah. Well, they know.
And then after the first couple of fouls, the refs swallowed their whistle a little bit on two, because he didn't pick up his third foul until late in the second half. But the officiating was wildly inconsistent. It seemed to be very arbitrary throughout the course of the game.
It's their first game back, too, and it's really poignant. You highlighted that. Chauncey Billups mentioned in his post-game press conference, Two got a little bit tentative after he picked up his first two fouls. Yeah. As he does, he did have a career high. Did he finish with 5?
He
did. He get a 6? Okay, so he got his 5th foul, or his 5th steal. Sorry.
Too many steals.
I mean, two.
I got that from him.
I like it. I like it.
You like it? Sorry, I had to use it.
That's good.
No, two was great tonight. I mean, Two and Denny were very clearly the best players tonight. But defensively, I opened up the press conference asking Chauncey, what did you think about the defensive effort and focus tonight? And he said, the effort wasn't. I don't think that was really a problem, but the focus was really the issue. And you saw that up and down. Really, Two and Donovan were the only guys that were really locked in defensively. They hunted Anthony Simons. I didn't think he was a lack of focus. I just think that they were just trying to bully him. They were just trying to out-physical him at every stretch. Yeah, and I think the big thing was the Blazers were switching a lot. The Lakers were switching a lot on both sides of the floor. And very often, if they weren't hunting Ant at the perimeter, he was the low man in rotation after either some pre-switching or just having to over-switch after a couple rotations from the Lakers. And a lot of times, if Donovan wasn't on the floor or Rob wasn't on the floor, and they weren't running some zone to keep somebody away or to keep somebody in the paint to kind of deter drivers, the Lakers just found ways to get and manufacture points early and often, with the biggest part of that early in the game being Austin Reeves. But, I mean, they had 5 turnovers, the Blazers, in transition offense. So you're giving up these opportunities. They were down 18 in the first half, and they were able to tie the game up. Just kind of clawed. The beginning of the fourth quarter was kind of their undoing. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the things that came out of this, I didn't have the opportunity to ask Chauncey, but I really wanted to ask, you've been through all-star breaks. You've had these opportunities, these different chances pop up in your career.
What happened?
Is there a way to unrust yourself? Like, can a veteran team, because the Lakers, they weren't great tonight. LeBron finished with 11 turnovers. I mean,
they did lose to Charlotte last night.
Yeah, but they did have the game last night where they at least got to knock the first.
Right, they got it out of their system.
Yeah.
So even though it's a back-to-back, and you're like, essentially lost for the Lakers, because you have such a long break leading up to it, Tyree, it's difficult to say that the Lakers were at a big disadvantage. Now, Luka didn't play tonight, which sucked because everyone in the building wanted to see him play.
Yeah.
But LeBron had a really weird night, dude. 40 points, 11 turnovers.
Folks, I mean, come on. This is the All-Star break. I expected them to be slow coming out of this. Either way, it didn't matter. I mean, I expect that from all teams. Sure. And, I mean, you talk about the turnovers. Those were the times that we were supposed to capitalize on those LeBron James turnovers. 11 of them. Yes, the team was supposed to capitalize on them because also the Lakers don't have a real big. They don't have a true starting five that's dominant.
I mean, Trey Jemison III and Jackson Hayes are not guys you want to start as bigs. Mm-hmm. And there were times where Donovan Clingan, I mean, he just bodied the living bejesus out of Jackson Hayes on rolls. And I thought the Blazers, early and often throughout the game, did a very poor job of finding him on rolls. Beyond Jeremy, having a rough shooting night, I thought he had some blinders on for guys diving to the rim, particularly Donovan. I mean, JG, not only was the shooting rough, the transition opportunities. He had one run out where Two is lit there, just sitting there going, put it up, brother, put it up. And Jeremy goes into a little runner and gets a wedgie. And it was just like, oh, man.
Didn't we look at each other? We were like, all right, this is going to be
everything looked really hard.
Yeah, nothing was easy tonight unless
nothing was
Denny
easy
Denny in the
unless Denny driving to the basket. That was essentially it offensively. And, okay, there's rust. But it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward, because are we going to see something more closely that resembles the team, maybe not on the winning streak, but approaching that kind of play versus what we saw early on in the season? Because is this knocking the rust off, or is this things turning? Because this is a 4th consecutive loss.
Yeah.
We talked about before the break, the floor has raised. I think we can all agree the floor has raised.
Yeah.
The first quarter, maybe a little bit worried that perhaps it didn't, but it does feel like we're in a position where now the worst of the Blazers is something like tonight, a competitive loss. Like, will they get blown out as the season goes on? Of course they will. But there are too many players like Denny, like Tu, that just can't physically, mentally take a night off.
No.
And as a result, you have something like this where it looked like Portland was going to lose by 40. Whoops. They clawed back to, did they tie the game or get it within one?
No, they did tie it.
They did tie the game.
At least at 81-81, and I think they tied it again at 91 apiece, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
But, to your point, I think that was one of those things where you take better care of the ball, you have some better execution, you finish better. It wasn't, these guys aren't good enough. It was boy, the focus was lacking for most of the game.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing that stood out to me all night. I mean, those first, 10, 14 minutes of basketball from the Blazers were atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean,
tough to call them basketball, brother.
Yeah, no, it was.
It was brutal.
You don't want to call it basketball?
I mean, that was awful.
Yeah, no, it was.
Austin Reeves scored 12 points in the first quarter. The Blazers scored 15.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
No, I mean, at one
fair.
point in time,
All right,
Austin Reeves was, I think he had 10 before the Blazers had 6. And it was just
I'll buy that.
Oh boy, it's going to be one of them nights. And he talks. We get this far and we haven't really talked about Bron that much. 14 to 24, 40 points. He was a demon in transition.
Anytime you wanted it, Tyree,
I mean,
he's able to get to the
turns
bucket.
out being 6'9" and 265 pounds and still being a freight train. And the thing was,
he got a nice long break at the All-Star break.
He did, but he
nice
also
long break
his
for LeBron.
physicality,
nice and long.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all want to
All-Star
talk
break?
about that?
He didn't have to participate.
No.
It was great.
It's an ankle. It's been bothering him for years.
Worked out great for everybody, especially Norman Powell.
I mean, LeBron was great last night. I think he had 16 points in the fourth quarter last night against Hornets. They ended up losing the game, obviously. But he used his physicality, but more than that, I think he used his brain. There was that break that he got on where he had two guys in front of him. He geared down in first, second gear, just slow, and then just finished over the top. And it was like, yeah, that guy's still pretty good. Donovan Clingan, I thought, did a really good job on a couple of his drives, and Bron just finished over him with the left hand.
It was a highlight early, though. Donovan stepped out a couple of times, and Casey said it on the broadcast. He doesn't know what to do with the big fella.
No.
He just kind of I guess I'll shoot a three over you because I don't really know how to get around you.
No, you mean
Rookie Fields.
He's 7'3", 290. It is a
He's a big man.
What's interesting was he only finished with 3 blocks. He had 2 possessions where the first possession of the game, he had 2 blocks.
Felt like he had a lot.
Well, no, another possession, I want to say late first, early second quarter, he had back-to-back blocks on Trey Jemison.
Are you calling scoring fuzziness, Marang?
Yeah, no, he got robbed of a block. He 100% did. And, I mean...
Block Robster?
I didn't... Are
we getting momentum?
No, I didn't get a chance to talk to Donovan pre-game. I was doing the news hit for K2, and I was hoping to get in the locker room and bring it up with him. Justin Verrier, the ringer, he's a UConn grad. I was talking to him like, I got to talk to Donovan, but I promised Joe I will get him.
What does Verrier say? Do we bring it up to him?
Yeah,
it's not for everybody.
It's not,
and that's what makes it great.
But he's
not
also,
for everybody.
He's also a UConn Husky too. So I think by proxy he may represent Donovan. I'm just
okay.
Oh my gosh.
Fine. Just saying.
Well, listen, we got a lot more to talk about, but first we got to get to our good people at Dick Hanna Subaru. The reason this show keeps going on, Joe.
Oh, folks, winter is here. That's absolutely right. It's the perfect time to check out the new 2025 Subaru models rolling in every day over at Dick Hanna Subaru. Subaru delivers with that lifetime powertrain warranty on every new car. Experience nice in the car business at Dick Hanna Subaru, but leave it nice. Visit them today and see why Subaru's perfect for the season and your next big assist. It's time for a deep dive into a shallow topic. That's right. It's Trend BA.
It is Trend BA. Quick shout out to Metropolitan Tavern again for letting us host our first live on location show.
Popping in here.
It is popping in here. If y'all can't see in the back,
too much purple and gold, but it's great otherwise.
Way too much purple and gold. Purple and gold is a nice color outside of the NBA. Okay.
I mean, we can disagree.
You don't like purple just to wear normally?
No.
Sko Kooks.
Look,
whatever. All right.
The only person who's ever looked good in purple is Prince.
So you're telling me I don't look good with a purple bow tie?
No.
He does. Now we know that's a lie. We know that's a lie.
Whoa, what happened to me? Let's get to that Trend BA, man, because there is actually some unfortunate news. Yes. Victor Wembanyama, he is out for the season.
Scary.
Yes. Before we get to the Blazer boxes, we'll pull that back first and let's just talk about it. Victor Wembanyama out with a blood clot.
Scary diagnosis given how Chris Bosh's career ended, and that's the immediate thought that you have. I think the preliminary reports were, this is a blood clot, like, what the heck's going on with Vic? And then I believe the secondary reports were, Dan, that it doesn't look as drastic as what the Chris Bosh situation is. He should return next season. They caught it, I guess, early enough. It's in his shoulder.
Yes, and the thing that is the worry with this, particularly when you're talking about somebody this big, these are always the worries when you're talking about people that are this large. When you just think about the general science of it, you've got somebody this size who, when you have a circulatory system that's working extra hard. I mean, you got to think about a guy at 7'5".
Stuff's got farther to travel.
It does, and these are the kind of things that pop up. This happened to Brandon Ingram. I want to say back in 2019, he missed the final 16 games of the season. The prognosis, I reached out to some folks in San Antonio to kind of double check and kind of see where things were. And what the Spurs are forecasting both publicly and privately behind the scenes is that this is not a Chris Bosh-like situation. With Chris Bosh, the problem was it became, I believe, I'm trying to remember medical terms here, a pulmonary embolism because the clot moved into his lungs. And that's the scary time. That's the scary one. Yeah. That's where it gets, these kind of things pop up when you talk about people that are 6'9", 6'10", 7 foot tall, and Vic being 7'5". The reason why he has to be shut down, or any player has to be shut down when this happens, is you have to be put on blood thinners, and you can't take physical contact when that happens because you have more complications that can arise. They're hoping, and the likelihood is that going into next season, he should be good to go. But it's not necessarily a guarantee that that's going to be the situation. But right now they're forecasting, because I believe you have to be on them for 90 days. So bare minimum, 3 months.
End of the season.
Yeah, and hopefully, prayers up for Vic. Hopefully everything, this is just a once-in-a-lifetime thing that he just has to deal with, get it squared away. But now that it has popped, it's always going to be a thing that you track. It's very similar to LaMarcus Aldridge, Wolff Parkinson's White syndrome. He gets shut down with a heart problem, and it was something late in his career that ultimately forced him to have to retire and just not want to risk it any further. Because, again, when you're talking about heart, circulatory system stuff, look, it's one thing if you've got bad knees. It's a whole different deal if, we don't want to have a situation where somebody, unfortunately, has an incident on the floor.
No, and it kind of popped up out of nowhere, too, on just the social media feeds, the news, and you take it back because of how dominant he's been.
Yeah, it's like, what? Because this is a team that made a big trade at the deadline. It's like, all right, well, I guess San Antonio is going to try to
make a push for
a playoff spot, and now it's completely the opposite, where it's like, all right, now what does San Antonio do to move to the basketball side of things? It's a really interesting position because you make that move, but you lose
the Blazer box up,
the defensive player of the year, and now it's like, all right, so do we make a push and try to get the 10 seed and, that's cool, or do we?
Well, they did beat the Phoenix Suns tonight. So.
They did, weirdly. Or do you go the other way and shut it down and, I know the odds aren't great for San Antonio right now. They have a 3% chance at the number 1 pick, but guess what happened last offseason?
Look, man, Atlanta had a 3% chance.
If they throw Cooper Flagg on that team,
I've quit basketball.
I'm
done.
No thanks.
You're done.
I'm
Why?
Out. You put Cooper and Wemby together, you're talking about titles for years.
All she wrote.
Can we bring up the Blazer box just so we can look at these NBA standings?
Well, Danny's put Coop in Springfield already.
No, I mean,
I don't know why you did that.
He's there.
I'm just
let him live.
There's just not a player that I'm more believing in.
Well, since we talked about this,
it's a perfect kind of understand what the situation is in the Western Conference right now. The Phoenix Suns they dropped to the Spurs tonight, and even
what a
with
disaster that is.
But I mean, look at where the standings are from the Kings, Warriors, and Suns. I mean, it's tight, Tyree.
Yeah, I mean, what would you do? Do you go for it? Do you continue to try and get that play-in spot, or with Victor shut down, you look at the team and you're like, okay, De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah,
I mean, you're trying to integrate him into your system and in how you run things. I don't think you're going to shut De'Aaron Fox down. He's 24, 25 years old. I think he's a little bit older than that now. God, it feels like Fox just came in the league, but that's not the case.
Feels like that, right?
God, that's just me being old. But what's interesting
Sacramento
is
not using him right.
The interesting thing that's kind of on the table is, I had a bunch of people think, well, are the Blazers going to push for the play-in? If you look at the gap between, as far as games, even though the Blazers are only 2 spots out, they're still now 6 games out of that seed. That's 6 games in 27, or now 26. It's not impossible, but that's pretty difficult math to make that work.
I think the best way to look at it is Portland was the hottest team in the NBA for 2.5, 3 weeks. And they still didn't get out of 13th in the Western Conference.
There's a clear delineation.
Yeah.
That was the end result of that winning streak was Portland's now 2.5 out of the play-in, and you lose a couple games. You're on a 4-game skid now. You tumble all the way back down the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's going to flip completely the other direction, just because.
Who they're
and we'll
playing
talk about
next.
this later. The schedule is soft for Portland coming up.
You play the 4 worst teams in the NBA.
Literally the 4 worst teams in the NBA. So you're going to win some of those games.
Maybe.
After that,
Danny.
I'm just saying.
what do we really do here?
No, it's going to be an interesting spot. I still don't have any indication on which way they're going to go. And I think we talked about this when DeAndre Ayton went down. The guy I think that they're going to miss the most on this team on a given night is DeAndre Ayton, because he can give you 32 to 34 minutes of very productive center play on both ends of the floor. You know, the Blazers getting mauled on the glass tonight. I mean, was it minus 15 tonight?
But also think about how DA offensively, how effective he would have been in a game like this.
Oh, yeah.
He would have eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner on that court.
Yeah. No, I mean,
exactly.
Jackson Hayes is not
Yes.
going to do anything to him.
He's not touching him.
Not having that weapon, and you could see it tonight. The Lakers came into this game. They did not pay any mind to Donovan Clingan offensively, and honestly, they treated Scoot Henderson with some pretty serious disrespect in their coverages. They went under everything, and Scoot couldn't deliver.
My guy didn't take advantage of it.
No, he had some bad misses tonight. And again, it's not like a throw a Scoot under the bus situation.
No.
It's just that's the Russ situation for basically everyone. Because I mean, Jeremy was 1 of 13. I mean,
and Scoot was
3
putting out
points for Jeremy.
Yeah, 3 points for Jeremy. Scoot, to me, Tyree, was putting out a vibe of, I want this too bad right now, and I'm pressing a little bit too much.
Okay, that's true. But he had a lot of great points on the court. That wasn't just points. Okay, yeah, he had 12 points overall. That's what we're looking at. But in terms of the passing, in terms of when he made the shots, Scoot was still gradually building in that confidence. And I was actually asking fans about that when we were before the game, pregame. What's your thoughts on Scoot? How do you feel about Scoot? Do you think he's going to continue this? And they believe that, and I think he did so as well. We're not going to see Scoot Henderson drop 30 points, at least right now, nor do we need him to.
Tonight you might have needed him to. That's kind of thing. I think you're right to your point, though, Joe, as far as he was pressing particularly early in the game.
Yeah.
Like that. I think he got better as the game went on, but there was multiple times when he got in the paint and he didn't know what he wanted to do. Like,
it felt like December.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I think it was a tale of two halves with him, where in the first half he was playing a little tight, pressing, as opposed to what we saw during the winning streak, where
it's in the flow and it's comfortable.
Just playing free. You know, Chauncey Billups mentioned that Jason Quick's article when he wrote about Scoot was like they had that meeting and he just stopped caring about all the other stuff and he just played basketball. And I thought that was a huge deal to kind of freeing his game. I thought to your point, he kind of reverted a little bit, got into the paint, didn't really have a plan. And there was multiple times where he picked up his dribble in the paint and kind of tried to step through, fake, not don't connect. Austin Reeves. My fault. I was mixing up my white guys. Austin
Easy
Reeves,
to do.
you know, ties him up. Jackson Hayes just kind of sent a block away. Like, What are you doing, brother? You're a foot shorter than me. Like, I'm not biting on your pump fakes. That's not the kind of you aren't Andre Miller. I'm not biting on the post footwork.
But Scoot had good shot selection like that. It was that three in that second quarter that kind of from the corner it was a pass, and we're like, oh. Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I thought shot selection, particularly in the second half, was good.
Yeah.
I thought he maybe got a couple threes up early where it was like, hey, buddy, let's work into the game.
What you're talking about.
Like, early on, there was a few. You know what it felt like?
19 on the shot clock.
Yeah, there was
we
a few of those like 5-point shots.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's exactly right.
Like, look, man, you've been shooting really well. I appreciate the confidence. And and here's the thing: when I say they treated him with disrespect, Austin Reeves was giving him 5, 6, 7 feet. They were playing him like teams were playing him in October and November. They were playing him at the nail.
Make the shot.
Like, we don't
Prove
care,
you
dude.
can do it.
I mean, it was very much, there was no mistaking how they were treating him as a shooter, regardless of how well he had been shooting.
But to your point, Tyree, I would be surprised if Blazer fan on the street had a different perspective on Scoot Henderson. Because we want to believe in Scoot Henderson.
Sure.
We need to believe in Scoot Henderson. Like,
we have to now.
Yes, because it could get pretty dark pretty quick. And so
we've seen that story before.
No matter what happens now, you have Denny's ascendance. Mm-hmm. You have two. You have Donovan. You have Scoot. You've seen enough to be excited about it. But I think over these last 26 games, he will be someone that you really have to pay attention to. Because what have we talked about with Scoot? Consistency. Let me get Scoot doing this for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Because we saw it in drips and drabs early on in the season, but we never had those prolonged stretches. And then during the winning streak, we started to see Scoot do it with a level of consistency where it's like
stretch. Yep.
there was times, guys, where Scoot would take a three, I'd be surprised where he missed it.
Yeah.
Or Scoot would drive in the lane, I'd be surprised if he turned it over rather than making the right pass.
Mm-hmm.
The ball was humming. And Jeremy not being as involved, and Jeremy being off on another planet, and Shaden's in Mars. Like, this felt like the team collectively that we saw late in 2024 as opposed to what we saw during the streak, and not even the wins. Like, the wins are great.
Stylistically.
But stylistically, like the ball wasn't moving around. And frankly, you played a very mediocre Los Angeles Lakers team
they're
with
not a good
Luka
team.
out.
Yeah.
They're very violently mediocre team. Like, truly. He didn't hear me back there. It's a guy in a Magic jersey behind us. But if you're playing a top-tier team, Portland loses by 20 or 30 tonight.
Yeah, no, you're playing those guys that you have on the upcoming trip, whether it's the Cavs, the Celtics, the Thunder.
Yeah.
You are getting run off the floor.
Yep.
But again, tip your cap to the Lakers because LeBron and Reeves got it done tonight.
Absolutely.
Like that's exactly
they got a
what
tough
they did.
win.
I'm going to point out to a point that Casey Holdall, he said yesterday,
Sonics.
we were talking to him about just the young guys and what can we expect for the second half. And he also said that, yeah, they may come out of the All-Star break a little slow, but they feeling it. And he was with the team, and he said these guys are kind of collecting. They want to go. If there's
Absolutely.
a chance, if they have a chance to do something with the rest of the season, they want to go. And point here, early in the show, before you had your amazing hit on our show. It was awesome. Love Danny on the TV.
He was great.
He was
great.
I got a chance to talk to a fan just outside the Moda Center. We were chopping up, and I asked him, no matter what this game was, no matter tonight, would you rather him work for a play-in spot or better draft position? The fan said, I would rather for a play-in spot because he said the last 2 seasons, especially after Dame left, his interest in the team kind of dwindled.
Yes.
I think general fan wants more success.
And I'm telling you, even at this moment, I still
that is
think
a
they
rude
want
thing
that.
you just said, because general fan is an insult.
No,
that is pejorative.
No, I 100%. No, I 100%. No, look, I own it when I mean it. But
Okay.
I 100%. No, I think
Okay.
you're just your general NBA fan. You're
casuals?
Blazers fan. No. I would specify
Okay.
casual.
Okay.
I think you're the largest mass of fans, unless you are. And I bet you, if you polled a Wizards fan right now, if you asked them, would you rather give up this chance for Cooper Flagg if it meant you were going to be in the playoffs? After going through the hellscape that they've gone through,
John Wall, Bradley Beal.
I mean,
Also Westbrook, your guy.
oh yeah, my guy. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough to do 1 year, let alone multiple years. And the Blazers have been in the lottery for 3 straight years, where you have the 7th pick, the 3rd pick, and the 7th pick. It is tough, man. Like when this first started happening, I had a lot of people get mad at me because I said, look, you're not ready for this. You. As a city, as a fan base, you've never had sustained bad basketball outside of the jailbreak.
Look, I'm not ready for this. I don't
not
want
fun.
this. This stinks. I want to be good. I want to be competing for a playoff spot.
Y'all
it's
are ready for
way
this.
more fun down the stretch to talk about competing for a 10 seed than it is to be competing for
Ping
the
pong
5th
balls.
worst record in
Yeah.
the NBA.
Okay, wait
Which
a minute.
Fifth is
Truly
fifth,
awful.
Fifth is out of reach.
Hold on. So that means I got to point the question out to you guys because y'all gonna know my thoughts. Y'all gonna know what I'm finna say. So I'm gonna ask you: play in or better draft position? Play in or better draft position? Danny Downer, go first.
I mean, draft position.
I mean, are we talking in a vacuum or the current situation?
talking
they're
about
in?
right now, this moment, this minute,
Right
this
now, draft
second.
position.
Right now, it's draft position.
Really?
Because they would have to go something like 21-5 over the last 26 games to have like a real shot. Like if you do the math. So how many wins do the Blazers have right now? They have 23 wins. The 10th seed in the Western Conference is 1 game over 500. So you got to get to 43 wins. That's just about 20 wins in your last 26.
Yeah.
Like you literally have to win 80% of your games down the stretch.
At bare minimum, to get that 10 seed, you're probably looking at like a 72+% winning percentage.
Right.
So then how do you look at the rest of the season? What do you do as a player? Like, if this is not a team that's going to the playoffs, postseason, but you still got a whole half of NBA left, what do you do?
Danny thinks that this is
every game's the playoffs.
The 77 Blazers. This is
that.
the 96 Bulls because Denny's been on Washington. So for Denny, this is a championship club he's on right now. So let's just take advantage of the fact that Denny played for a dumpster fire, and now he's playing on a team that's like, I don't know, a spot fire, we'll say.
Yeah, no, it's not the trash can on fire floating down the river.
Exactly.
It's the street side
Washington
trash
is
can.
taking shots tonight.
I
mean, have you watched them play basketball the last 3 years?
They got 9 wins right now.
No, not much, because they suck.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying.
They're bad.
Yeah, I want to circle back to Denny because I want to talk about his actual performance tonight. I mean, he finishes the game with 28, 5, and 4. And other than maybe pressing a little bit early in the game, was really weird is he had some really incredible finishes and just high-level shot making. What did he finish? 9 of 14. Some of the and ones that he missed were the most befuddling thing I think I've ever seen from him.
Yeah.
It was like
in terms of smoking it,
smoking layups, and not like a little bit, missing by feet. And I was like, I wanted, it's the downside of having to kind of rush over here after the game is that I get to go to the locker room. So I want to be like, look, man, is your wrist bothering you? Like, is that what's the thing that's causing some of this stuff? Because he started the year, finishing poor around the rim, and then he, took off, and you kind of saw what he is. He's not the best finisher in the entire world, but he's an above-average finisher at the rim.
For sure.
And you're seeing him, take hold night in, night out. And when games like this, I mean, 8 of 10 of the free throw line, 9 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. When everybody was kind of coughing up the ball, for a guy being on the ball as much as he was tonight, he only had 2 turnovers. And those 2 turnovers came when early in the game, when Chauncey Billups mentioned this in the post game, he took the ball a little too deep. He over-penetrated and maybe kind of tried to force. He had the one where he drove in. He had Donovan at the rim, didn't throw the lob, and fired it back out and led to transition. But other than that, I thought Denny was incredible. I think he probably his best quarter as a Blazer in that third quarter where he had 16 points. I mean, if not for that run and how great he was in that quarter, this game doesn't end as
you're
close as it
absolutely
does.
right. And look, even though the game's over, the night is just getting started. That's right. Let's talk about keeping those good vibes going with Best Day Brewing. That is the fastest growing non-alcoholic craft beer brand. Come on, Dan. It's the ultimate post-game play. You know that, Marang. We get to enjoy a great beer without worrying about tomorrow because, let's face it, Shake It Off tonight's tough loss doesn't need alcohol. So fans, make every day your best day. Find your nearest Best Day Brewing retailer at bestdaybrewing.com. Well, that young gentleman back there was walking by at a Sonics toque. Did you see that?
I did.
Did you see what the mayor of Seattle did?
Oh, man. First of all, quick.
Yikes.
Again, another shout-out again to Metropolitan Tavern for our first live on-location show. We got to give thanks for that because this would not be happening without them. But this thing that happened with Seattle was kind of wild. Can we go to the Blazer box?
Yeah.
Because this was funny, all right?
Now, we're not going to have sound, but you can see what's happening.
You don't need sound for this.
No.
All right, let's click play.
Let's play this thing.
He said, one moment, I got to show something.
It's like, this is the State of the City address. He's like, I have an announcement to make. And he pulls this ball up, and he flips it. They're going crazy. They're going crazy. And then, oh, boy, he said, I'm just kidding. Ha, ha. And then I assume the tomatoes were thrown shortly after this clip ends.
Yeah, shout out to our Seattle sister station for that footage.
How do you read the room so bad?
I may or may not have asked the unofficial mayor of Seattle about this, Mr. Kevin Calabro. And
what did KC say about this?
He had some thoughts.
I don't want to sound dramatic, but like,
what are you doing?
People lose elections over stuff like this.
No, you're not wrong.
No one on his staff, when they saw him take the basketball up there and be like, hey, Bruce.
It's the kind of thing where
Bruce.
somebody should have run out from the side.
No question.
So apparently he went off script.
I would hope so.
Because I'm actually happier about that in the sense of this wasn't pre-planned from his staff thinking this was a good idea.
Sure.
This was just a very dumb mayor making a very dumb choice. This is a team that had public leadership who helped orchestrate their team's theft in the middle of the night. What goes through your bleeping head to make you think that this is a good idea?
Can I be the good side of what he was probably thinking? He's probably thinking of hyping
Please try to save this.
All right.
No, I like it.
All right, J. Cole, can't save him. I'm going to try to do my best.
Yes, and. I like it.
Maybe he was trying to give the city a hint. Maybe he was trying to give the city a little taste. Maybe he was trying to give the city a little, hold up now, whatever you think is happening or not happening, stop thinking because something different is coming. Maybe.
Now, if he delivers, if he is the mayor when the Sonics get awarded back to Seattle, then he can count that as. But see, even then, Tyree,
the payoff isn't there.
It's tough to call it a W. It really is.
But also, okay, folks, have we not been talking about recently? Seattle's probably getting the Sonics back.
Sure,
have we not been
they are getting a team back, but also you have to remember the last time that this actually got close. Chris Hansen, the financier and the guy who was going to be the owner when they were going to relocate the Sacramento King to Seattle, he basically called it a done deal, and he has essentially been blacklisted by the NBA because of what he did. You move quietly and carry a big stick when you're talking about expansion or franchise moves.
That's right.
You don't mess with this stuff in public. Look, I talk to people all the time about this stuff, like what's going on with the Boston Celtics and the sale there and the triggers that are kind of coming down the path that are going to lead to the Seattle Sonics returning and Las Vegas getting a team. Everybody in the league knows what's coming. Every time Adam Silver gets up there and talks about Mexico City, we all send texts to each other like, what is this dude talking about? Like, we all know what's coming. Mm-hmm. Play the game, shut up and smile, don't mention the league, and when it does come back, take the credit. That's how you do this.
All you have to do is support the teams in your city if you're a public leader.
Yes.
Like, that's the if you want, like, false applause,
just don't do EGLES.
Just say go Sonics.
I don't know,
it's
man.
so easy.
I know what he's trying to do. Listen, Bruce.
Look, I know what he's
trying to do.
Look,
I don't. Bruce messed up.
No. I get what he was trying to do. It doesn't mean it was a good idea. Lord knows how many times I've done that in my life. There's a lot of things that I try to do where a lot of people are sitting there going,
all right, well, Danny, hold on. We're not getting into your false. Listen, I get Bruce. I understand in this situation. Yeah, I'm not going to give him his full name. He's just Bruce. All right.
Yeah, that was a real Bruce thing to do.
Yeah, no, it's Brucey from the longest
real
yard.
Bruce behavior.
That's what we got.
That was. You know? Oh my gosh! But the reason why I'm kind of on the side is maybe if this wasn't a talk, maybe if Seattle wasn't even in contention, maybe if this wasn't something that's
if he was talking out of turn, this would be filthy.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying it could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Yeah.
Okay, there we agree.
Yeah.
This could have been infinitely worse. Seattle never had a chance of getting a franchise back, and he just toyed with the city's emotions. That's the kind of thing that leads to, mobs.
You know what? I think of this as...
Well, maybe not a mob in Seattle.
How about this? I'm thinking of this as your ex-girlfriend. You guys are working up getting back to a full relationship. You're teasing it. You told her, you took her to dinner. You were like, hey, we got a little, some things are happening. I feel like this is going somewhere, but we got to wait just a little bit more. That's what that is. Teasing your ex-girlfriend.
So he just texted you up? That's what Bruce did?
It's not even
never a good idea.
He's not even shooting his shot.
Well,
I got so worked.
He's warming up the oven, keeping it warm.
I got worked up. I need water. I got worked up.
Oh my gosh! I'm just saying. Well, either way, Blazers unfortunately they lost, but they have another shot, and that's going to be this weekend. Charlotte.
Yeah. Again, we kind of teased this early. The Blazers schedule literally is the second easiest possible schedule you could have, and the only reason it's the second easiest is because it's on the road. If this was at home, you would have quite literally the four worst teams in the NBA coming into your barn. It is I don't...
Did you go barn there?
Yeah.
I like that.
Coming into the barn. Come on now.
We can do that.
That's where you get the field house from.
I'm down with the barn.
You're going to play the Charlotte Hornets, who beat these same Lakers last night, despite shooting 36% from the field. My God, that's a
yikes.
You knew that they probably weren't going to win. That Charlotte trade, I felt like that was...
It was a revenge game for no one, neither Dalton Connect nor Mark Williams. It was like their revenge cannot be had.
Pillow fight.
But you've got the Charlotte Hornets, then you go out on the road and you take on the Utah Jazz, the Washington Wizards, and the Brooklyn Nets. The only, downside to any of this is there's no back-to-back. It's 3 games in 5 nights or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But you are going from Utah to Washington. Like, that's just, when you're talking about it, it's like, they're fresh off the All-Star break. Anytime you get to fly cross-country and just kind of deal with that, the only thing you think about is, are they going to be focused enough? And like after the first game back from the All-Star break, I think across the league you had focused down. That's just kind of what happens. The interesting thing was, I don't think many of the Blazers players went to Turks and Caicos or went to Mexico. I think for the most part, I think they just went home.
Denny looks very tan. No matter where he was,
he did go.
Our boy was in the sun.
He did went back to Florida.
Yes.
I hope he got some Florida sun.
Yeah, he did get some Florida sun.
Yeah, good stuff.
But like it wasn't one of those things where this is a veteran team that maybe took a trip to Hawaii or Cabo and turned up a little bit. For the most part, guys are just there's a lot of homebodies on this team. A lot of just chill guys.
That's the vibe.
And that's very much the case. And
let's bring the Blazer back up, by the way.
It's one of those things where you think, oh, maybe guys wouldn't have had a little too much fun and they didn't do as much recovery as maybe they should have. And look, if I'm a 24-year-old millionaire, single or otherwise, I would probably get in a lot more trouble than they were. But this is the kind of trip that is going to test your focus, not because they're good, but because the teams they're playing are just that bad.
That is a long road trip, man.
It is brutal. You're crisscrossing the country.
Is Portland in a position to look at any team in the NBA and take them for granted?
Hold up.
That's a pretty arrogant
but
position
you look at,
to take.
You look at the Washington Wizards.
Oh, the Wizards, fine.
Yes.
But Brooklyn, I think, is only like 2 games ahead of Portland.
Yeah, no, it's 2 games back in the loss column.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you've seen Brooklyn.
No, and their game, like they've reached out and kind of nipped some heels.
Sure.
Utah going into the break,
absolutely,
they win a game. Everybody's like, wait, what? What just happened?
Mm-hmm.
Washington, no. Washington,
yes.
It is an abomination.
They are their own category.
They're disgrace to basketball.
I hope the district ain't watching tonight. My goodness gracious!
Look, even if they are,
we're big in the capital. Thanks for tuning in. Drink some Best Day Brewing.
But the flip side of it is you go from playing 4 egregiously bad teams to playing maybe
Whoops.
I think look, I know everybody talks about the Thunder. I think you can make an argument the Cleveland Cavaliers are the best team in basketball.
Sure.
And it's we didn't bring this up with Wemby. This is the betting suggestions are for entertainment purposes only. If I was a betting man, I would be betting on Evan Mobley to win Defensive Player of the Year now with Wemby out.
Really?
Yes.
You don't think Wemby still gets it?
No, he can't. He literally can't.
Oh, it's the game
minimum. He's not going to hit it.
Do all these awards have a minimum
Not
now?
all of them. Rookie.
What are we doing?
No, there's only a few. Most improved isn't tied to it, but all NBA, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, I think one other, but I believe Most Improved and Rookie of the Year do not have those minimums. But no,
I hate it.
The betting market
is where data's a problem.
No, I mean the betting market flipped on its head. Jaren Jackson Jr. is currently the betting favorite. Evan Mobley is second. Then Lou Dort, and then a wild card in there was SGA.
Where's
SGA's
2?
fourth.
Really?
I didn't see 2 in the top 5 or 6.
Ridiculous.
So, then it doesn't make sense.
But I mean, you go from playing the 4 cellar dwellers in the NBA to playing, if not the best, probably the second best team in the league, a Sixers team that I don't know what they're doing, and then you wrap up with the third and maybe the other best team in Boston and Oklahoma City. But if you look at this trip, right, you start on February 24th, and you play every other day except for a back-to-back with Cleveland and Philly.
Let's go.
I mean, that is
Yeah, but look at those juicy start times. Can we get that back up? Those are some gorgeous-looking start times we have there.
Here's the thing.
We've got a 12:30 Tyree?
All right.
Oh, my God.
Well, I mean,
you're converting it for them.
The Cleveland game is 3:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, 12:30.
That's a mwah. We'd love to see those.
Oh, man. Well, got to get out of church early for that one.
Yeah, make sure get that 10 o'clock service.
Danny, how did this... I'll make sure to do that.
There you go.
All right, so Saturday. Is this a game that they should win?
Yeah.
I mean,
should is that's a big
that's
a lot of
word.
That's a lot of juggling. On any given night because you have. This is what we talked about when you're
from a talent perspective. Of course, they should win this game, but you're getting in a position where it's like, how many more of these do we want?
So then we're talking about a team that has the stance that they can, maybe look at a team.
Well, I'll flip it this way. Would you be surprised if the Blazers were underdogs in the betting market against Charlotte?
Yes.
Yes.
Because they were only 3.5-point dogs tonight.
Well, the Lakers are playing on a back-to-back without Luka, a short roster, and no bigs.
I understand.
And the Blazers,
but
history was trending up significantly more.
They love the Lakers, though. They love the Lakers.
Well, they try to look. Las Vegas is not very far from Los Angeles, and they very much try to. They go
public
fishing.
Team.
Well, they go fishing in L.A. very regularly.
That's why the Cowboys are always a certain way. The Yankees are always a certain
100%.
way.
Oh, you just had to talk about the Cowboys, huh?
I don't really want to talk about the Cowboys. Zach Martin retired today. Their best lineman just retired. So more awesome news.
I know.
It's going great for you,
dude. How are
he
you
gave us a
next
decade. We're going to do awful.
You're going to be a new team next season. You're going to.
Am I going to have a new team?
That's what I'm asking.
No, because I'm loyal to the soil, baby. I'm going to be a Cowboys fan till I die. That's how we do it. No, there's no switching.
You should.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You probably should.
Absolutely not. That's awful. You're an Aints fan. Are we really going to do this in a public forum? You're an Aints fan.
Well, you know what?
Come on.
Fair enough. We were at least in the NFC Championship like a few years ago.
I mean, do you want to count the rings? What are we going to do here?
So we want to talk about rings before my parents thought I was going to be
before you were born.
Exactly.
What are we going to do here?
Goodness.
Are we going to do this?
Come on now.
Really? All right.
But
fair enough.
This 7-game road trip after the Hornets game, I don't want to skip over to just the Hornets game, but let's just take that 7-game road trip and put it with the Hornets. What do you want and what do you expect to see happen over the next 8 games?
I know the young guys are going to be playing a lot, which is what I want, and I want them to get us those wins. I want them to at least keep us in those games against the Cavs, against Boston, against OKC. I'm not talking about 76ers.
You want to see them beat game?
I want them to be game.
Yeah.
Have to be, because then this is our team for the future. This is what
Yeah.
we want.
I mean, as long as you're seeing the style of basketball that we saw during the winning streak, I don't care if they're wins or losses. As long as we're getting that cohesion, we're seeing Scoot, we're seeing Denny, we're seeing two on a more consistent basis, we're going to get a lot of Donovan Clingan.
Whatever. I mean,
We're going to get a
I
lot
saw
of
a lot of people
DC.
say that Donovan Clingan was going to play, 30 minutes every night, kind of a deal. He played 17 minutes tonight, and I think the big part of that is, again, you're seeing, yes, he played 31 in Denver, but you know what he had? He knew he had a week off coming.
Yeah.
And I think when he's really rolling, you kind of let him ride. I think Donovan's a guy that his confidence kind of fuels his energy even more.
Yeah.
And I think that, Chauncey, I asked him pregame, how do you gauge Donovan minutes? Because I don't gauge his minutes, I gauge him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, probably more than anything that I'm looking for over the next 8 games.
And the amount
is
of breath that he has.
Well, just like,
yeah, you can see
where does Donovan
Sure.
get to when he knows night in, night out, he's the first big out?
Yeah.
Interesting. Folks, shout out to Metropolitan Tavern
Indeed.
again for our first ever live on location show with the Rip City wrap up, sponsored by the good
did
people
it.
at Dick Hanna Subaru. We did do it, boys. It was a great time. How are you guys going to do on Saturday? What you guys think? Going to be good? Good? Bad?
Are we coming back here?
Oh, no, we're not.
Justin, are we coming back here? Maybe.
A lot of shrugs.
All right,
we're
we'll
going to find
see.
out.
This is not going to be our only one.
No,
We
everyone
appreciate
is
you.
shaking their heads. No, we're not
Yeah.
going to.
Oh.
But it was very fun. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
Metropolitan
much.
Tavern, beautiful.
Back
Gorgeous.
at it again. Episode 57 is coming Saturday, 7 p.m. The tip-off at home against Charlotte Hornets. We appreciate you, folks. We'll see you back here on Saturday. Have a good one.